Guys, welcome back. My gosh, this has been such a year, okay? If you were listening along to the previous podcasts, I've now since rebranded, if you could see the change in name. We used to be the Dream Life Diaries, but now I am just rebranding everything, all my socials under Life by MK, because it was getting a little chaotic having like 5 different brands kind of going at one time, when in reality, the message I want to promote amongst all of them, it's pretty much similar. So this past 6 months or so, I have just been really trying to hone in on the exact message that I want to promote to my audience. And let's just say I have finally, after so much time of going inward, of doing the journaling work, of trying to discover what it is I really want to share, I have finally come to the conclusion that a lot of it is just really based upon this podcast and the previous message that I was sharing. And essentially, if you're new here, that message is that you can make your dream life happen and you can manifest the life of your dreams, and just with mindset shifts, you can change so much in your life. I've always had that feeling that I was meant for more in life, that feeling that you can do anything. And I just kind of grew up feeling this way. Since a young kid, I always really thought that I could just do the crazy things. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have that mindset yet, or just, haven't discovered that version of themselves yet that can go after those crazy things and just be so confident about them and throw themselves into new situations, experiment, open themselves up to different opportunities, all these things. And that's my core message, is that you can make anything you want happen with mindset, with hard work, with dedication and consistency. I'm also really focused on sharing the benefits of wellness in your life and creating that wellness lifestyle, whether it's fitness, self-care, doing some self-development work, the journaling, the reading, the self-discovery, all of that. And I feel like it really fits under one umbrella. And now that is finally Life by MK. So hopefully normal rebrands 2026, because once again, if you've been following from the start, I did rebrand twice last year. So hopefully I could finally, for once, lock in on one specific channel and brand. So I'm so excited. So excited for 2026. Okay, 2025, for a quick recap, was an amazing year, but so much happened. So much happened that I did have to take a break from the podcast for about 6 months or so now. I ended up moving from Charleston in July. So I think a little bit before that, it was actually when I started touring apartments in my new home, where I now live in Florida, that the podcast fell off because I was traveling for 2 weeks back to back. I think the last episode I posted was actually from those 2 weeks, where I went to San Francisco for a week, and then I came back for literally 2 days, and then I hopped on a flight to Florida to tour apartments, and then I was here for 5 days or so, and then I went back to Charleston, and then at that point I was just playing so much catch up that things started to fall off because moving started. So I left Charleston in July. I lived in my hometown in Pennsylvania for a month in August, and really just took some time to be with family before the move to Florida. A lot was happening in life. 2025 was such a big year for changes at work. I mean, my position changed as well in June. I got a promotion, and then there were so many changes with that. A lot of instability, of course, living and then selling off the majority of my furniture and storage units and all of that stuff that you don't think about in the moment, but actually takes so much time and mental energy. Needless to say, I was drained, and I put a lot of my energy those 6 months into growing my content, into more social media work. Come the fall, I ended up actually becoming a social media manager on the side. So, of course, was still working the 9-to-5 job, and then I ended up really working closely with some social media managers, and then kind of became their assistant, started taking on my own clients a little bit, all while being a UGC creator as well. And then I kind of became a full part-time UGC creator for this marketing company. So there was a lot of happening. So many exciting things. Then finally, at the end of August, I made the move to Florida. Let me just say, since that has happened, life has also been a whirlwind, but in the best way. It was one of those changes when I literally remember driving into Fort Lauderdale. I remember like just getting off the highway. At this point, it's been 2 full days of driving because I was home, Pennsylvania, had to go to Charleston, get my belongings, come down here. So in total, I think it was 22 hours of driving time. Stop, of course, along the way, but I was just so beat up and exhausted. And I just remember getting off the interstate at the Fort Lauderdale exit. And I swear something washed over me. It was this feeling as if all the pieces in my life were clicking together all at once. I can't even explain the feeling, but it was the most like magical feeling in the world. And let me just tell you that these past, what is it now, 4, almost 5 months now that I've been living here, there's just been so many aligned, actions and opportunities for me here. And now it just makes so much sense on why I felt so drawn to move here, to live here. And, life is just on full speed, absolutely, but in the best way possible. So immediately when I was moving here, I kind of jumped into meeting people. Thankfully met so many amazing friends. Oh my gosh. When I moved here, naturally when you're moving somewhere alone, I didn't know a single person in Fort Lauderdale besides my roommates who I just met on Facebook. So I didn't really know them per se. But besides them, I moved here solo without knowing a single person and immediately somehow ended up meeting so many friends to the point where I was like, oh my God. I just feel so blessed. Even now, a few months in, feel so blessed every day to have so many amazing friends here, to have met these people. And met them off the bat because moving somewhere, you naturally have that feeling, what if I don't meet anybody? What if I move there and I just have this lease for a year and I don't make a single friend and I hate it? I feel like it's inevitable to not have that feeling. And of course, those thoughts went through my head and then the opposite happened. Of course, moving here, I was so scared. I was so nervous, but so excited, of course, at the same time. And then it's funny now to see how amazing life can get. And it really just shows, you have to take those leaps. You have to follow your intuition and just take chances. Take chances because you never know where they can lead. I think I'll have to do a full episode one day on just recapping my life in Florida so far because like I said, so much has happened and I just would love to share the journey of moving in your 20s and moving somewhere solo and taking these big leaps. But for today, I really want to focus on starting over in the new year and the idea of starting fresh every year and why this is actually hurting your progress. I feel like with the new year starting, so many of us always go into a new year saying, oh, new year, new me. January 1st comes around and all of these things are going to change, okay? I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to become a whole new person on January 1st. But my thoughts this year were, what if instead of restarting, instead of trying to become a new person, what if the real magic to actually sticking to those habits, to actually becoming that version of yourself that you want to be, is just continuing? I saw this post on Instagram recently, and it said, finally a new year where I'm continuing the process instead of restarting again. And this really hit home for me because this is exactly how I felt for this year. And on New Year's Day, I remember before I even saw this post, I woke up thinking, wow, obviously I'm always trying to journal about my goals and make these vision boards and everything. And I just had one of these wow moments where I was just thinking to myself, holy crap, everything that's on my vision board, all of these goals I have built it out for myself. 90% of them are literally just me continuing my progress from last year and bringing it into this year continuously, staying consistent, and then maybe growing that progress a little bit more and pushing it to a little bit of a max. I realized for once that I didn't have to change. And that was the best, most freeing feeling. For once, I wasn't going into a year thinking, oh my gosh, who am I gonna be this year? Let's claim a whole new identity, new year, new McKenna, let's do it. I wasn't thinking that way. And that's why I feel like this year already is off to such a great start. I have big goals. I have habits to build, habits to break. But for once, I was not trying to change who I am. And it really got me thinking how much people restart on New Year's Day. We really do poke fun at it sometimes, the cheesy New Year, New Me craze that comes every January 1st. But it's really so true that so many of us go about things this way. It got me thinking back on last year. I remember I was still in Charleston at the time, of course, and I remember I was going to my normal gym there and my yoga classes. So I use ClassPass for my workouts, for my yoga, and I remember I went to this one studio next to my house, which I loved, and I loved it because it got just packed enough. Some workouts were pretty packed, some were a lot lighter, definitely half a class or less. I remember for at least 3 weeks or so after the new year, the first 3 weeks of January, I couldn't get a spot in class. I could not book a spot. And for those 3-4 weeks or whatever, I remember when I would get a spot and come in, it was all these new people. All these new people were in the class. Usually I would recognize all these faces. It was always the same people, the same classes and same times. All of a sudden, the class was packed to the max, packed to the wall to the point it wasn't even enjoyable because we were squeezing there like sardines. All these new people. I was like, okay, new year, new you, go you, I guess. That's great that everybody's out here trying to do yoga. Yes, you're kind of taking over my, 6 a.m. class that I usually love, but you know what? All to you. Good for you. And then next thing you know, a few weeks in, it starts trickling off a little bit, trickles off a little bit more. Same thing at the gym. I remember that first week or two of January, every machine was taken. I couldn't find a stair stepper for the life of me. There was walls of treadmills. Could barely find a treadmill to walk or run on. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then a few weeks in, same thing. It started to taper off. Next thing you know, halfway through February, it's back to normal again. And we see this in so many things too. People who try and do these crash diets. All of a sudden, January 1st, I'm actually never drinking caffeine again. I'm not eating any fat. I'm not drinking alcohol, dry January. And then you know what? The next month rolls around after they do their 30-day challenge, and then they're just back where they started. Not everybody, of course, but I think we've all known somebody or seen somebody or been that person that feeds into this pattern. And it really got me thinking on why. Why do we keep starting over? Why do we go about this process and really put in the effort and really try to plan it out, map it out, try to make all these goals and these plans, and then put in so much effort just to restart again? And I realized that a lot of it feeds into this all or nothing mindset. The mindset of, okay, tomorrow's the first day of the month. I am going to go cold turkey on all this. I'm going to stop drinking, stop smoking, stop eating this, stop eating that. I'm going to go to the gym every single day starting tomorrow. This all or nothing mindset is what's killing us a little bit. The thought that you can just shock your body into just making these whole new habits out of nowhere is crazy. I'm a big advocate for easing your way into things. I've recently done the Whole30 diet. If you're not familiar, this is a really restrictive diet, and I really made it a point to phase my way into it. So at least 2 months prior to. And it kind of worked out because I wanted to do Whole30 earlier, but I couldn't because I had so many events and traveling going on. So I took those 2 months to ease my way in, phase out my pantry items, eat up the non-compliant foods that were in my pantry, but then stop buying more foods that were not compliant. I made sure to phase my way in so that when day one came, when day one of Whole30 came, I was ready. I was basically already almost there. And the 30 days, it was still tough, but it was a lot easier than if I just said, okay, I am going to go fully into this diet tomorrow and spend 30 days on it, be so restrictive with what I'm eating for 30 days, starting tomorrow, let's just launch into it. And I think if more people took on this mindset, try to ease their way into things, ease their way into a gym routine, start by going once a week, twice a week, and then work into every single day, or whatever you want to do, 5 days a week. If we just started to ease our way into things, I think it would help so much. Another thing I think is killing people's progress in a continuous streak with something and causing them to restart is the dopamine of a fresh start. I think it's such a dopamine hit to be like, okay, yes, tomorrow I'm going to do this and start all these new habits. I think we've all experienced that before. Saying, yep, tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go do all these habits and do all these things. It's a dopamine hit to your body because it's so many good things that you're doing at once. So many things that are triggering that good response from your body from doing something productive, doing something good. But the problem with this is that dopamine hit, it's not going to last. Your body's going to get so excited. Your mind's going to get excited because you're going to be like, okay, good, go me. I'm doing this, and this. But it's not going to be sustainable. Another problem I think we all face is social media and the obsession with resets. I think on social media, it's so easy to try and feed into the aesthetic of a reset, of a new year, try and share the aesthetic aspects of these new habits that you're forming. It's really easy to feed into that. But I think this is a problem because it's really trying to force into us the idea of like, okay, it's a new year. I have to do this reset. And it becomes a little bit obsessive when you're seeing everybody else doing it, being like, oh, everybody on my For You page is doing a New Year's reset. I need to do one too. When in reality, you don't need a reset. You just need to stay consistent. So if you've ever struggled with this yourself, if you've ever failed on a New Year's resolution, which I'm sure all of us have, unless you're perfect and every single year you go 365 days doing everything that you plan to do perfectly, then all of us have felt this and have felt the struggle and then the self-hate after you mess up or after you fail. If you've ever felt this, have you ever thought that maybe starting over each year is actually what's making you fail, or that this all or nothing mindset is really setting you up for failure? And I just can't help but think, what if we all start to view the new year as continuation and not reinvention? And then I know there's going to be people out there that are thinking, I didn't start my goals last year. How am I supposed to continue what I didn't start? Or, like, oh, I have this new idea, this new project, whatever it is. If it's something completely new, yes, definitely bring it in. But I think there's a lot that we can pull from our previous years and previous experiences, and with some reflecting. Instead of trying to change your entire life overnight, what if you try to do reflecting to see what you can bring into the new year from last year? This was something that I practiced going into 2026. So I took pretty much the entire month of December to really dive in and focus on what worked and what didn't work from 2025. I think this is so important because I think we get really caught up in the new, like we need to do these habits and bring this in and do this and this and this. But we don't take the time to really look at what we did well last year, or what we did well in the previous year, or what we're doing well right now. And I also don't think we place enough emphasis on the bad things that we want to leave behind. Sometimes it's easier than starting an entire new chapter and version of yourself. Sometimes maybe it's just leaving behind one or two bad things, or one or two bad things are holding you back, one or two bad habits. Sometimes we forget how much just leaving something behind that's not serving us and not serving the version of ourselves that we want to be is holding us back from accelerating forward and making progress. So what if, yes, we reflect on those bad things a little bit, realize what we want to leave behind? I feel like that needs to be the first part of it. Do your shedding work. What do I want to leave behind in last year? What didn't really work for me? What held me back a little bit? Do that first. Do your work to figure out what you need to shed and leave behind so you can go into a year fresh. Yes. But, and more importantly, you need to start focusing on what you did well and what already worked for you. And that's important. Not what worked for all these people on social media. Not what worked for that person on TV, for that person in the book that you're reading, person on that podcast. No, you need to do some journaling and realize what worked for you and why. And then it's time to do some major reflecting. Okay, you need to reflect on how you could bring more of what worked into your life, into the new year. and how you could take it one step further and how to amplify its effects into your life. This is so important because when we actually do the self-work, when we dive in and see what worked for us, sometimes it's just so easy. It's so easy to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, yes, that worked. And you know what? That worked really well, and I want to just focus on that a little bit more this year. Maybe you actually started eating better. Maybe not even eating super great. Maybe you just started buying some more fruits and vegetables that sat in your fridge. Then maybe this year you could say, okay, I'm going to keep buying those fruits and vegetables. I'm going to keep cooking with them. And then, you know what? I'm actually going to eat them this year. I'm going to eat those, and I'm going to leave some of the unhealthy foods behind in 2025. I'm going to leave those behind and continue the habit of eating a little bit better every day. It's not like you're going on a crash diet tomorrow. You're just keeping up that progress, doing a little bit better. Maybe you really want to become super fit or lose a lot of weight, and maybe you didn't get to the gym as much as you wanted to last year, or you didn't really start running or whatever you want to do. But maybe you started walking. Maybe you started taking the stairs at work. Maybe you just started going on a little jog, or just, walking around your house more, taking breaks from work to get up and walk around the building. That's amazing. And you need to acknowledge, yes, maybe I'm not going out and running a 5K every morning, but you know what? I make sure to get up, 5 times a day during work to go do a lap around the building to stretch my legs. That's amazing. And do more of that. Realize that that's progress and that's something that's working for you, and amplify it. So maybe now, instead of just getting up to stretch your legs, you're like, okay, I'm going to take 30 minutes during my lunch every single day to go for a walk. And then let that keep building and amplifying. I'm such a big believer in the snowball effect. Habits build on each other. And habit building is a muscle that you need to keep working. Habit building grows exactly like a muscle. You get stronger over time. So when you start slowly increasing those habits, you're really flexing that muscle. So another example, maybe you want to start using affirmations and really do better with treating yourself better and self-talk. So maybe last year, you just started to Google up some affirmations. Maybe you didn't really put them to practice, but you started Googling them a little bit here and there. So let's use that as a snowball effect. So now, maybe once a week you do a journal session and kind of use your affirmations. That could snowball into journaling a little bit every single day. That could snowball into listening to some affirmations while you're driving. And this could snowball into you really building up that mindset to every single day, listening to your affirmations, writing them out, treating yourself better, thinking better. It'll keep flexing, keep growing. Maybe in 2025, you started fixing your bed every day. And you're like, oh, whatever, it's not really that much progress, but I guess. And maybe you want to become a really clean person. Well, you need to start with acknowledging that you did that. Yes, you did make your bed every single day. So now acknowledge that you want to keep doing that and continue it and grow it. Now make it your intention to fix your bed every single day and add on to it. So now you fix your bed every single day and put all your clothes away from the floor every single day. And the next thing you know, you're tidying up your kitchen every single day. Essentially, these muscles can build. And as long as you acknowledge what worked for you in the previous year, you can bring so much opportunity and potential and momentum for yourself into a new year, as long as you acknowledge what you did well and continue those habits and grow them. Many of us get so caught up in the new, in the shiny new beginnings and everything, we forget how much consistency also plays into success. Consistency is one of the biggest problems people face in their lives. People who want to start businesses and start new goals and new habits, the biggest problem is that consistency. When people fall off of one of their goals, their New Year's resolutions, the problem is them not being consistent. At the end of the day, there might be a lot of other factors that go into it, but the baseline is that the consistency is not there. So if we take the time to reflect, to align with what works for us, and to just focus initially on just being consistent with one of those good habits, it could take us so far. Literally just imagine if there is something that you did last year that you really did well, that you really applauded yourself for. I was like, I freaking did that and I did it well. I'm proud of myself. Could be the smallest thing once again. Now think about it. Think about if this year you took that and you actually stayed consistent and you did that every single day for 365 days. Think about where it could take you. Think about how much that muscle will build. Just think about 6 months in. If you did it every single day, think to yourself, yeah, obviously it would probably be pretty easy by then. And by the point you'd be 6 months down the line, you might really just be ready to grow that. You'd probably be like, actually, this isn't even tough at all anymore. Let's build it further. So my ask for you, my challenge is to try and be more consistent. Figure out what it is that you want to bring into this year and really just do your best to show up and perform whatever it is every single day. My next ask is to stop beating yourself up for what you did wrong. Yes, take the time. Take the time to shed those bad things from the last year. You need to. You really do need to, and that's an essential part of growth. But stop beating yourself up about it. It's not going to get you anywhere at all to keep beating yourself up over what you did wrong. Yes, acknowledge it, but shed it and leave it behind. And then focus on the good. And I'm telling you, this mindset shift will change so much because there's so many of us that literally go about every single day just beating ourselves up. Oh, maybe you didn't stay consistent yesterday and you're just going to keep beating yourself up about it. Why should I even continue? I failed yesterday, or I did this wrong or this. Forget about it. Even if you already started the new year and you already started your habits, try to stay consistent. If you mess up, it's okay. Just restart tomorrow and start again. But just remember that the more you beat yourself up about it, the more you're going to get yourself into a negative mindset and lead yourself in the wrong direction. So if you start to feel yourself leaning this way and starting to beat yourself up, talk negatively to yourself, please get rid of that completely. Get rid of that completely and start focusing on what you're doing well. And something that I also do, and I challenge you to try as well, is going to be my bi-weekly inventory. Okay, I'm such a type A person, so I'm sorry if this is really type A of me, but every other week I have on my calendar, well actually it's the 15th and the 30th of each month. I have it on my calendar as doing a life inventory. And actually I might make a template of this and do a digital upload of this and somehow link it into this channel, so I'll work on that. But essentially, I have this template that I have built out in a journal on my computer, and every other week I do an inventory of my life. And I have these sections bulleted out, basically what's working. I do all these bullets of I'm eating better, I'm exercising regularly, I am doing this, I'm working on my finances better, etc., etc. And then I have a section where it's why is this working? And I think that's an essential part too, is focusing on why something is working. Not just okay, this is good, this is great, but why? Eating healthier. Why is it working? Because the foods are offering so much good nutrition to my body. So when I'm doing these hard workouts and these long days, this food is refueling me and making me feel great. That's an example. Then I have sections of what could I fix? And in those sections, maybe it's overspending on certain things, or maybe it's staying up too late. That was actually my big one recently. My most recent inventory was staying up too late, or poor sleeping habits, not having a consistent sleep schedule. And then below that, of course, I have why is this not working? And for example, it would be, okay, I am waking up feeling so tired every day. I just can't figure out what time I should be going to bed and waking up because I'm never consistent with it. I can't wake up to my alarms. I'm having unproductive mornings because I can't get out of bed the time that I want to. So then after I go through these sections, so what's working, why, what's not working, and why, and then I have a section on what do I want to bring in, or I think I label this, how can I change this? And I really focus on the how. Not just throwing random things out there saying oh, I'm going to do this fix, this fix, this fix. No, actually diving into how. And for this example specifically, one of my hows was putting blocks on my calendar every Friday to take some time for myself and to not go out late. Maybe turn down some plans and take some time for myself for a few weeks to go to bed early and get more into routine. Another how was using TikTok and ChatGPT to make really good grocery lists and meal planning to have healthier meals, and make it easier for myself to continue eating a nutritious way, to continue eating a really healthy diet for myself. So try this out. Try this out for yourself. Do your own bi-weekly inventory and just focus on the things in your life that are working or not working for you. So this way, it's not like it's a new year, you have to do this whole inventory and become this whole new person. No. Every other week, you do this personal check-in to figure out what's working and what's not, so it's not a restart over and over again. You get to figure out what's working in your day-to-day life. And it can literally be the smallest things too. And just figure out how to continue that, how to grow it, what things maybe you need to change, what you need to work on. So that way it's not a shock to your system every time you want to make these changes. It's an ongoing process. Guys, I really hope you got something out of today's episode. These are a lot of thoughts that have been going through my head since the start of 2026, and I really hope you could take these thoughts with you into your year ahead to help you plan, to help you stay consistent, to help you not beat yourself up, but really figure out what's working well for you and focus on the good. Focus on the good things that are happening in your life, the good things that you're doing, the good habits you're building, and how to continue this. And at the end of the day, to just keep showing up for yourself day in and day out. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I could not be more excited to be back here, to be sharing these messages with you. And I just cannot wait for this year ahead and for so many more messages to come. My continuation, if you'll call it, for this year is to keep being consistent with the content, okay? To not take a massive 6-month break again with the podcast, but to keep setting realistic goals for myself and keep showing up. Showing up for you and for all my listeners and all the audience out there, because I am just so blessed to be able to share this message, and I have so much love for each and every one of you, and I just know that so many good things are going to happen this year, okay? So thank you all for listening. If you're listening on podcasts, make sure to follow along so you get a notification when a new episode is released. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and hit that button and subscribe. It really helps my content reach more listeners like you out there. And if you want to go ahead and follow on socials, I am Life by MK on Instagram and McKenna Kaminsky on TikTok, and I'll make sure to link those below. Okay guys, I hope you have a wonderful, amazing day and an amazing start to the year. I have so much new content coming in the next few weeks, and I will see you guys soon. Bye for now.